And here we are again, as promised. Every day at 4 o'clock, we are pumping good stuff into the world. And I don't know anybody who pumps more good into the world than the lady sitting opposite the screen from me. She left corporate America to follow her dreams and passions. She's done so much I can't even, share with you. She's going to share it with you. But Shelly T, thanks for joining us. It's your chance to tell us something good.
Thank you so much, Steve. Wow. I love your platform, and I love the concept of being able to kind of focus on the positive, which is so great. I want to share with you what's really happened since March 14th on a very fateful day when I started, I would say accidentally started a movement called Pandemic of Love. It was around the time that this wave, that impending wave of closures and sheltering in home was inevitably going to come here to Florida. It was already happening in New York and in California and elsewhere. And as you know, I'm a community organizer and a meditation teacher, and I have a community here in South Florida that meets in Hollywood Beach on Sunday mornings. At least pre-pandemic we did. And the community is about 15,000 people. And I saw the bubblings up of fear and anxiety around the fact that especially the hourly wage workers, people that were in the hospitality industry, relying on tips just to make ends meet. And there's a really huge subset of our community that fits that description. Were freaking out because they were like, oh God, I'm going to lose my job. I barely can make it to the end of the month at this point as it is. How am I supposed to stock up on supplies and shelter and home when I can't even afford, to get through each week of my life? And so I really, immediately felt the tug of asking the question, how can I be of service? How can I be of service? And what can I do to connect the individuals in our community that are in need with individuals that have privilege in our community that can meet that need? And so I just honestly am not a technical person in any way. I went on Google Forms, which is on the Google Drive platform, and I created two really simple forms. One was called Give Help and one was called Get Help. And I created a 40-second candid selfie type video that I put up on Instagram, and just, went to bed. And the next morning when I woke up, there were over 400 people that were asking for assistance, and over 500 people in our community that were willing to give assistance. And the type of assistance was not what most people would think, like people weren't, as we say in Yiddish, they weren't schnorrers, they weren't like,
that's great, right?
$5,000 to this. No, it was like, I need like $200 to go to Publix to get supplies, or
real shit. I mean, that's the real stuff.
Essentials, like basic essentials. I need enough for diapers and formula, and I need, all of these different things that were just, it really was very humbling to like read these people's applications and like the types of asks that they had. And it just keeps it real, because you're like, damn, like people really are struggling. And so basically, after putting these sheets up, basically I, decided to start matching people. And I realized that this was such a manual process. It was such a process where I had to read the application, connect them with the right person, and then, was taking forever. So I started recruiting volunteers, like people that I knew that either were working from home or were retired, or students who were looking for service hours. And so we started amassing this like team of volunteers. And what happened in the next 24, 48, 72 hours was incredible. And I think it proves that a lot of different things can go viral, that good things can go viral too, right? So when we think now pandemic, we think negative things, right? But I think this concept proved that love can be viral, that hope can be viral, and faith, and a lot of really positive, wonderful things as well can be infectious in a good way. Within the 72-hour time period, we had thousands of people applying for help and thousands of individuals that were asking for help. At our height, we were matching 1,600 people a day with
a day. Wow.
A day. I mean,
wow.
Yeah, I'll share the stats with you, which are actually really
incredible.
But it's amazing because it got shared by celebrities and people with different platforms like Maria Shriver and Kristen Bell and, you know, Deborah Messing and people like that. And suddenly we started getting the media and now the stats are, which is like drum roll, is that we have over 650 volunteers around the globe. We have over 180. It's crazy. We have 180 micro communities around the globe, which means that there's like an area leader, you know, in different cities around the country, like Salt Lake City or Atlanta or Portugal, you know, in Lisbon, or even in South America. We have a whole website called pandemiadeamor.com. So if you have like family in South America, or if you are in South America, you can, you know, still give assistance or get assistance. And we have matched 187,000 couples pairs.
Wow.
Which, when we look at our average transaction, it actually accounts for about $25 million that's been transacted. And the most
in 3 months. In
12 weeks. What's really incredible, Steve, is that there's no overhead. None of our volunteers, including myself, have ever seen $1 of any of this, because we're a disruption to the nonprofit model. Not that nonprofit models, I'm not knocking them in any way. You know, I give to many, I volunteer, I sit on boards, but this is a new model, a mutual aid model that literally pairs the person in need up with the donor, and we just make a shidduch. We're matchmakers.
It's unbelievable.
They send them an email and they call each other. They talk on the phone. They become friends, and they are people sometimes that like think in their minds, what do I have in common with this person? Yet they do. The humanity, you know, the basic humanity that we're able to kind of share with each other is incredible. And the stories that have come out of this, of these matches and these friendships that have formed, have been absolutely a restoration of faith and humanity for anybody who needed the restoration. So it's pretty amazing.
I am speechless, which for people who know me, that's a hard thing to do. You just have this amazing spirit and this amazing ability to bring people together. I know the story of your beach, you know, your beach event every Sunday. Could you share that with people? Because this is not the first time you've done something like this, where you've created crowds of people who would never, and in that case, people came from all over the place to come to your beach event.
Yeah, so that event started in November of 2015 with 12 of my friends who I personally was looking to seek and find community, like a meditation community. And I didn't really have like friends that regularly meditated. So I just invited my friends and said, hey, I'll guide the meditation. Like, just come to me. So like 12 of them showed up, and we were like, this is so great. We should do this again. So we just kept meeting. And every time we met, they would bring friends who brought friends who brought friends. And they would post on social media, and then others would join. And then really within, you know, a few months, we had hundreds of people. And then, you know, 1,000 people at one point. And it was just like all gathering together, like literally from shore to dune. You couldn't even like walk through, and you attended, you know, a few.
I loved it. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah. So it's been really incredible, because this community, people were like, well, how long do you think this is going to be going for? And I said, like, it's a community. So for as long as we can gather, really, you know, and we still meet online like every Sunday morning, but it's been 4.5 years now, you know, since we first gathered, and we keep growing and growing and growing, which is really incredible. And what's beautiful about it is that within the community itself, there's like sub communities, right? There's like a community of divorcees and a community of widowers and a community of cancer survivors, and all of these individuals that sort of meet, find each other, who normally would not necessarily interact because, again, they're from very different socioeconomic status, background, religion, race, etc. And so people, I think we limit ourselves. And I think what this and also Pandemic of Love like have in common is the fact that there are no barriers or walls. Like we're all the same. We're all one person. We can all find the common humanity in each other.
So again, you're just so fascinating. Neither one of these endeavors were commercial or commercialized. I mean, there was lots of opportunity for you to do that, and you didn't. Tell people about your corporate journey, how you hopped out, and what's coming, the book, and all of the things that are coming from Shelly T.
Yeah. So I as my community grew on the beach, I felt this tug. Every Monday I would get like a lot of anxiety having to go back to work, where I was, the president of a mid-sized company with thousands of employees. And I realized after several months that my purpose and meaning and where I want to kind of put my energy for the second half of my life, having turned like around 40 at that age, at that time period. And I just went for it. I basically made like a plan, and I wrote down a date. I actually sat down and wrote a resignation letter that I predated like months in the future. And I said, okay, this is like, now it's tangible. There's something I can hold on to, and I'm going to tell people that are going to hold me accountable, and I'm going to work my way backwards from there. And I didn't know how it was going to play out, of course, like nobody ever does, but I knew that I would regret if I didn't take that chance. And I also knew that, I could never ask anybody to take a chance on me if, number one, I wasn't willing to take a chance on myself.
Wow.
Because how can you consciously like actually do that and ask people to invest in you if you're not willing to really like put yourself on the line, And I also knew that I could always go back to corporate. It's not like a job wouldn't be there if I really wanted one. Because
it's not either or. It's right. a time of life, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so I was like, that's it. I feel it. I felt it in my heart center. I was like, I'm going to go for it. And I did. And I have to tell you, honestly, Steve, it hasn't always been easy. Like, of course, obviously, financially I've been making a lot less than what I used to make. And not having a paycheck every 2 weeks certainly also, makes it for different type of planning for the future. But I think that if you kind of stick to things long enough and you don't reel back and you just sort of navigate, which is what I've been doing, and pivoting and really thinking not about, how do I monetize this, which I think in the field of like mindfulness and meditation could be seen as like, oh, you're selling out, right? It's not about monetization. For me, it was about how do I stay in alignment with my core meaning and values? And how do I just keep on that path? And so, and it's played out for me finally, like years later, over 4.5 years of toiling and sweat and doing a lot of stuff for free for people. I think, it finally played out in that I've been kind of recognized in the field that I work in mindfulness, which is twofold actually. I spend most of my time in communities that are in underserved communities, mostly Black and brown communities affected by gun violence every day. So really traumatized community. And by virtue of that, also now I spend a lot of time in communities affected by mass shootings. And then the other part of my time is spent with social justice organizations, building resilience, because we're in a marathon.
We need it.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard to deal with all the information and news that's coming, and the vitriol that's coming at us on a daily basis at this point. And so resilience is a really important thing for life, for business, for, making sure that you continue on your path towards meaning and values, and to create alignment in your life. So I have a book coming out next fall, but my manuscript is due in November. And the book is aptly called Sit Down to Rise Up. And it's essentially a journey about how, self-help is great, and like self-care is really great as well. Like going to the inner journey is great. But if you don't actually do something with the inner journey afterwards, like you don't actually take it to the external level of creating community, and possibly even if you have the grit to do it, create movements, then what's the point of even embarking on an inner journey in the first place?
You are so inspiring. Just, I know the story, and hearing it again just makes me just so happy and proud that you're a friend. And, I'm so grateful that you shared this story, because people need to know that in spite of all the negative news that's out there, people are good at heart, and they are doing good things, and they are living a life of fulfillment. And you are a shining example. And I wish you tremendous success with your book and on your journey, and keep me in the loop, because whatever and whenever you need me, I'm standing right next to you. You are.
I know, you've always shown up. So even if I don't talk to you for months, and I'll send you a text and be like, I need this, you're on it. So I
always
that about you.
Always. I'm thrilled that we got to spend time catching up. Just know that I'm always there.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it.
You are the best. You are one of a kind. I'm telling you, you are one of a kind. Thank you.
Thanks.